Today, I want to talk to you about the online business startup costs, approximately what you might need to set aside to actually start up a online business from scratch and build the platform you need to get moving. Let's talk about it. Okay, so when it comes to starting an online business from scratch, you're typically going to be looking to put some type of a website up, okay? And there's going to be the cost associated with doing that. Now, a lot of people, they make the mistake of trying to go out and do things with all free tools. God forbid they try to use free web hosting. I definitely don't recommend that you do that. They try to use free themes. Now, there are some that might get you going that'll be fine, but they try to do free everything. Now, I don't really recommend that you try to do free everything with WordPress unless it's going to be a hobby site, okay? But in order to do things on a more professional basis, in order to try to, actually make a site that's going to convert traffic into leads and ultimately into sales, you're going to need a little bit more professional tools. There's a lot that you can do with free tools, but you're going to find that you probably need the pro version on many of these things, okay? So what I want to do is I want to talk about what some of those tools are, but let's first of all talk about just the general basis here of putting any money into your site at all to begin with. A lot of people, they try to do everything for free, although in the regular world, it would generally not come up, the idea that you could start a business without any startup capital whatsoever. In the real world, it's pretty much a known thing that you're going to need some startup capital to start up. But for some reason, when people come to the internet, we get into this weird mindset of thinking, oh, I could do everything for free. But it just doesn't really work that way in most cases. I've looked at it as like the law of conservation of energy. It's the idea that energy is not really created or destroyed. Now, I don't think that that's completely and totally true, because I think a business, you actually could create wealth out of essentially thin air. But the idea of doing it from just straight zero is probably not very realistic, because you're going to need to put some materials there in order to actually work. And the other thing is that your website needs to actually be functional. It's not like it's just a brochure site. It needs to have a way to collect money. It needs to have an email list solution. Those things generally do cost you a little bit of money, and without them, you've got nothing to build upon. One thing to consider with your startup costs, with the software that you're going to need to buy, is that it's not as if it's a one-trick pony. You might have a business idea right now, but for some reason, if you decide to start other business ideas later, let's say business idea number one didn't work, and let's try plan B and plan C, the same software can be used. This stuff, once you've got access to it, you can use it for as many sites as you want, generally speaking. And so I want you to look at the startup capital as something that has potentially very high leverage to it. It's not as if it's you put it into this one business idea that you have, and then if it doesn't pan out the way that you expected, it was money lost. These tools can be utilized for pretty much whatever the heck you want to use them for. Okay, so let's talk numbers. I'm going to give you some specific recommendations here in just a bit for the platform that's going to power your online business. If we round it out to the nearest hundred, it's going to be roughly about $500, and that will get you access to what you need for a full year. Now, the software, like most premium software for WordPress, does have some recurring nature to it, so that would be $500 per year to keep it going. But by then, you will have so much done, it's not going to be a big deal to you, okay? But it's going to be roughly about $500. If you want to put a little bit more there and have a little bit more capital to do things and speed things up, maybe you want to put about $1,000 aside. But basically, that wouldn't be for software. That would be for things that are going to drastically speed up the process. For example, if you wanted to get into some paid traffic in order to jumpstart your traffic and jumpstart your email list building and stuff like that. Because if you don't do paid advertising in some way, it's just going to be good old-fashioned sweat equity, getting out there and working it, getting onto podcasts, writing blog posts, getting really active on social media. I mean, you could probably build up from zero without any paid traffic, but it will radically speed things up if you can put a little bit of money into advertising. But we're just talking here about the online business platform itself, the website. I would say $500 is probably a pretty good round figure to set aside for that. And I would actually recommend that you set it aside, like take it out of your bank account, maybe stick it into a separate bank account. That way, mentally, it's kind of a done deal and you're not sitting around stressing about it anymore. Okay, that's what I usually recommend. Now, let's talk about where that $500 is actually going to go. So your startup site needs to be able to convert traffic into leads. In other words, you need to be able to put them onto an email list. And then you need to be able to test an offer on them, which means you need to have some ability to sell something on that site. That's the two basic core components that your site needs. And then, of course, we just need the site to actually house all that stuff to begin with. So generally, you're going to need four basic things in order to get this going. First of all, you're going to need web hosting. Web hosting is where the site is actually going to be stored and what's going to serve it out to your traffic. You're going to need email list hosting, okay? And then you're going to need a theme or possibly a page builder as well. I'll get into this stuff in just a second. And then you're going to need a way to sell stuff. Okay, that's basically the four basic pieces. And these four basic pieces are going to be there forever, okay? And as big as your business gets, you're going to have the exact same four pieces. You might have some additional stuff you put on there, but these four things you're really going to need right out of the gate, okay? So now let's talk about each of those things. When it comes to web hosting, the solution that I recommend is Cloudways, okay? Cloudways is the host that I use personally, and it's also anytime that I have anything to do with the hosting for any of my clients or where they recommend I put the site, we put it on Cloudways. Now, it's not the only game in town. If I had to recommend a plan B, it would probably be SiteGround. Okay, so SiteGround is a really good company. They've got really good solid hosting. They've got really good intro rates, okay, on the hosting plans. The big thing with SiteGround you need to keep in mind is that once your prepaid period goes away, you're then paying the standard rate for your hosting, and your price is going to jump up quite a bit. Okay, so that's the thing there. With Cloudways, they don't play any pricing games. It's just you get in there and it's just a flat rate and there it is. And the cheapest Cloudways hosting right now, I believe, is $10 a month, possibly $11. The one that I would recommend at the bare minimum would be the premium offer from either DigitalOcean or from Vultr. These are basically virtual private server providers that Cloudways works with. No big deal. And that will either run you $12 a month or $13 a month. And so essentially, you do the math on that. A year at the $12 is going to run you $144 a year for your hosting. And it's really good, solid hosting. You can also scale it up as needed, but at the bare minimum as a startup, just go with the entry-level server and it's probably going to do fine for you. Now let's talk about your email list. Where's that email list going to go? In the old days, I used to recommend things like Aweber or ConvertKit, or I've talked about MailerLite, things like that. Basically, third-party solutions. I no longer recommend you go that route. It's not as if those companies are bad; they're perfectly fine. If you would like to use one, it's fine. However, what I would recommend that you use is called Fluent CRM, and it will actually put your email list right inside of WordPress itself, which means that you are the one hosting your email list. The cool thing too about Fluent CRM is it integrates with everything. It's going to work beautifully inside of your WordPress site. It's also got all of the big boy capabilities in terms of marketing automation and some really cool stuff that sometimes with these third-party solutions you're going to have to pay additional money for. The other thing is that with those third-party solutions, as your email list gets bigger, your bill goes up. Well, with Fluent CRM, that's not the case because your email list is literally going to be inside of your own WordPress site. And so whether your list is 10 people or 10,000 people, it doesn't matter. Your cost is exactly the same. Now, you're not going to actually be sending email from your server, okay? You're going to connect Fluent CRM to some outside email sending service. Now, I recommend usually Amazon services, okay, which is Amazon.com, or one called Elastic Email. Okay, and I'm not going to get into the technicals on this, but essentially you're going to be paying them to actually send the email, and it's really, really cheap. Like Amazon SES, which is the email sending service for Amazon, I believe is about $10 per 100,000 emails that you send. Elastic Email charges a dime per 1,000 emails. So basically, these are really cheap things, and the only cost associated with that is going to be with actually sending your emails out. Fluent CRM is going to be, I think it's $129 per year. And that's what it is, okay? And it's on your site, and you're in control of it. The cool thing is that you can back everything up. Your list is not in anybody else's control. You're the one purely in control of that. And this is by far the most effective way to build your email list these days. All right, moving on, let's talk about your theme and your page design. You're going to need a way to make your WordPress site look the way that you want it to. And you're going to need to be able to build landing pages so that you can test out offers on these pages or get people on your email list with opt-in forms, okay? You're going to need something to make your site look the way that you want. Now, what I recommend these days is a theme called Cadence Theme. This is what I'm using myself. It does have a free version, and so if you go to the themes section inside of WordPress, you can get Cadence Theme, and you can install it for free. There's also a plugin for it called Cadence Blocks, which you can install for free. Okay, now both of these have pro versions, and I do recommend them to you because they're going to give you a lot more capability that you will find it comes in very handy to make your site look the way that you want. But this gets into using WordPress the way it's natively designed to be used, which is called the Gutenberg block editor. Not to get geeky with you, but basically you will be able to make your site ultimately look like anything that you want. Obviously, there'll be a little bit of a learning curve there, but you could do whatever you want with that tool. Okay. Now, if you would like, you can get a page builder as well that will allow you to create landing pages in a little bit more of a visual way. And if you want to get a page builder, I would recommend Elementor to you. Okay, specifically Elementor Pro, because A, it's got a lot more capability, but secondly, it's got all kinds of pre-built templates that you can just install. It'll save you a whole lot of time, especially if you don't know how to build these things from scratch. Okay, so those are the tools that I recommend to make your site look like you want. Moving down to the last thing, which is the ability to sell stuff on your site. Okay, the good news here is it isn't going to cost you anything. The solution I recommend to you is WooCommerce. It's completely and totally free. Okay, and it's also infinitely expandable. That's the cool thing about WooCommerce is that you can power a full e-commerce store with thousands of products, or you could just sell one thing. It doesn't really matter. You can still use WooCommerce to do it. It's incredibly flexible. Now, some people have seen that, oh yeah, WooCommerce is free, well, but you got to get all these extensions to make it do anything, and those things cost money. Not really, okay, because they're all open source. They're all under the GPL software license, which basically means you can basically use those extensions for free, essentially, okay? You don't have to buy them. And so it's a very, very good platform. It's what I would recommend. Great for startups because there's no capital involved with getting it going. And the thing is, you pretty much are never going to need to switch to anything else because WooCommerce will do whatever the hell you throw at it. It also works beautifully with Fluent CRM, so as your site gets bigger and you want to be able to look up a customer and see their purchase history and all on one screen, it'll just work all right there inside of WordPress. And it's beautiful how all this stuff works together these days. So that's the big four. Okay, I recommend that you get Cloudways for your web hosting. I recommend that you get Fluent CRM for your email list. I recommend Cadence Theme and Cadence Blocks. I recommend Elementor Pro if you need a page builder. You may not need one. And then WooCommerce, which is completely and totally free. With those things, you have everything that you need to create a startup platform, and you're not going to have to switch software later because all this stuff is very expandable. It all works together great. It gets you out the gate. You can use it on other sites if you need to work on a different business idea. But as the site gets bigger and you're generating lots and lots of revenue, it'll be the exact same tools. You don't have to deal with all the geeky stuff with switching things mid-platform. I've done that many times and it sucks. I'd rather get it right from the get-go. Okay, as time goes on, you may need to acquire some other software. No big deal, but I don't want you to get shiny object syndrome right now. I don't want you to go off and be buying all kinds of other things because you're thinking way ahead. You've got a job to do when you're in the startup phase of your business, and that is to get to the minimum viable product just so you can find out the right combination of things to get people onto your email list reliably and find something that they're willing to purchase. That's all you've got to do. You can worry about making things fancier later. So don't go out and just buy a bunch of software. Don't sit there on the AppSumo email list. You know, you look at it and go, oh, that'd be cool. And you buy that for later. It's really easy to sink a lot of money into this stuff and you're not really getting anything out of it. I would recommend, at the startup phase especially, just getting the 4 main components that you need to get your site to where it will do the 2 main things that you need it to do, which is email list building and make a sale. Once you get those things going and you know that, oh, now I can make money with this, then you can start worrying about acquiring additional things and making the site fancier. Lastly, I will recommend do not get into debt on this stuff. Okay, I recommend that you make the money, set it aside so mentally it's sort of spent already, and then you can to put it into your business. But don't rack up a debt associated with building up an online business. If you're going to use a card to pay for it, which is standard, just make sure you pay it off at the end of the month. No interest. You don't want to go into debt for this stuff. I just don't recommend that you do it. Okay. That is my commentary with regard to your online business startup cost. If you have any questions whatsoever, let me know. You know where to find me. You can also ask below in the comments.